Today marks a very special date in the evolution of 3D and 3D in cinemas, and that was when Clash of the Titans was released 3 years ago to the date, and I'm sure you all enjoyed it, we all did, and everybody loved it, I think, who saw it and thought the conversion was fantastic. But the point is, that was day one. That was day one, and through that, in the last 3 years, you know, personally, it's been Narnia, Green Lantern, Transformers, Immortals, 3 Star Wars movies, 2 Harry Potters, Wrath, Men in Black 3, Frankenweenie, Gravity, currently World War Z, as well as working on native shows, Great Gatsby, Dread 3D, Avatar, and that's just prime, you know, with Legend and with, you know, what the Vision 3 are doing as well. You've got coming up Star Trek, Spider-Man 2, Superman, Avengers, Ninja Turtles, I, Frankenstein, Simpsons. I mean, an absolute plethora of 3D movies, all fully converted or all part conversion, part full stereo CG or native capture as well. So what conversion has evolved into is the primary choice for creative filmmakers when they create their 3D. That's where conversion is today. And, you know, 3 years ago as well, and 2 years ago, the question was very much, you know, is 3D going to be around for long? Is it just a fad? You know, it's clearly, you know, those kind of arguments have gone. It is going to be around. You know, future filmmakers are looking to 3D, into conversion to make their movies. And I think I kind of sort of go out on a limb here as well, you know, kind of within this event as well, and that I would argue that it isn't just a case of, and what we talk about today is how much conversion has evolved. I would argue that conversion is the evolution of stereo 3D filmmaking. And in sort of right now, in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time, the vast majority of our films will be created in this visual effects, highly controlled, creative environment. And that's what we've been doing. And sort of to back that up as well, I would say, don't judge conversion by what you've seen, because everything you've seen has been tailored and crafted to that particular film or that particular director. Conversion can do way more than that, way more than that. And that's what we're starting to see now as our industry evolves and matures, our filmmakers. And we've got directors now coming back for their second conversion movie, their third conversion movie. All those lessons they've learned before, they're putting into place now. And we can see so much more from conversion.
I know you don't like the word conversion, so you're creating stereo.
Well, we do. We don't convert anything, actually. We create, you know, all of us as well. We're creating stereo. Stereo is, and you know, I'm sure, you know, we'll all touch on this, and I don't want to take up too much of the time, you know, because we can get sort of deeper into this as well. But stereo is an illusion. Our way of creating illusion is in this highly controlled, efficient, creative environment. And then I just want to show a couple more clips now, because I'm aware that, you know, time is moving on. And this is from Frankenweenie, which was the last release that we'd fully converted through Prime Focus as well. And for me, Frankenweenie really does, you know, represent a high bar in stereo, not just in conversion, but in stereo as well. It was considered as a shot 2D, considered for 3D throughout the filmmaking process, from the way that it's been edited, the way that it's composed, every shot, you know, good, all the 3D pointers are in there as well. Really good character volume. We were given the time and the sensitivity and the sensibility to work with the filmmakers to really craft that stereo as well. So what you're seeing in that, your eyes can wander and linger around the screen and enjoy all parts of it as well, and be truly immersed in that 3D experience, because that's what we're all about. 3D is meant to be immersive, and too many 3D films I see, you're jumping in and out of that experience as well through inconsistency in the stereo as well. And certainly within Frankenweenie and other films as well, there's a real consistency through that. So
great, let's have a look.
I'll stop talking now and we can run some. I've got a couple of clips from Frankenweenie for you.
Vision 3 is slightly different in the sense that we're not a conversion house. So we don't have artists working on computers generating 3D. What we provide is consultation, supervision and stereography support as part of that process with the client, with the studio, with the production. And what we've also done is work closely with some of the vendors in the production for conversion. And one of those companies I've been working quite closely with has been CineSites, which traditionally is a visual effects house. But from the back of John Carter, they became involved in the stereo side. And they use a different approach, and I'll show you a quick clip in a minute that sort of gives you an idea of how they work, but it's coming very much more from a visual effects, thinking in a visual effects standpoint. We're going to go straight on to the second clip. This, we think, is effectively the world premiere. It's the 3D trailer for World War Z. So this is the Brad Pitt zombie movie that's being made at the moment, and we finished the trailer about a week ago or so. So this is CineSight and Prime Focus that are doing the conversion on this.
Thank you so much for showing that. We go straight to Barry Sandrew from Legend 3D. Barry, if you can introduce yourself, the company, and you're going to show a few clips as well.
Yeah, Barry Sandrew, I'm founder, Chief Creative Officer, and Chief Technology Officer of Legend 3D. Did a lot of the work that, along with Prime Focus. As a matter of fact, we did 91 minutes of Transformers. That's why I don't like to call it post-conversion, because we were actually taking all of the effects from Digital Domain and ILM and basically dimensionalizing it and doing the final composite. So it wasn't post at all. And the other thing is that I think it's important to note that 40 shots in Avatar were actually converted, and Prime Focus did that, I believe. But also for Spider-Man, we did a lot of shots, even though it was shot in 3D. And also Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. We did a good deal of that as well. I hope everyone had a chance to see Robert Newman's presentation this morning. He showed Wreck-It Ralph, but he also showed Little Mermaid, which we just completed 2 weeks ago. And it's a pretty phenomenal project, because it was the first time that traditional cell animation was converted. I was supposed to show Smurfs 2. We did Smurfs 1, and right now we're finishing Smurfs 2, but I was, Adam actually requested that I show something else, because he thought it was really pretty dynamic, and that's 300. Now, when I wasn't kidding, I do have a dog food commercial. We've been getting a lot of commercials lately, and so I'm going to start off with a dog food commercial, a Coke commercial. Then I'm going to show a clip of 300 that we converted. And that clip in 300 actually convinced Zack Snyder to give us Man of Steel. So after you see 300, you're going to see the Man of Steel trailer. I'd like to add that except for Superman or Man of Steel, all the other three clips were done without any visual effects elements whatsoever, including the Coke commercial. And in terms of Man of Steel, limited a number of visual effects elements. So we're able to actually get this stuff done looking like that without all the pieces.
Thank you so much, Barry, for bringing that. Now, unfortunately, time has completely escaped us, so we're hoping to have some sort of debate. Afterwards...
There is no debate.
No,
I mean, it's all there on screen. It looks amazing. What's the debate?
But you're very welcome to come up afterwards. But we do have about 5 minutes, so if anybody's got a question or anything... Or I'm interested to know if anybody is watching all that...
We've got a good 15.
Yeah,
I reckon we got
Have you got 15? Okay, I thought we had to finish at 10 to. If anybody has watched that and have changed their minds at all about conversion, or the same, or you think think it's not, will never be as good as stereo, anybody can say
never be as good as stereo.
Native stereo,
what?
or filming a two-camera stereo.
Okay. I think I made the point that, and I think what a lot of this shows as well is that, again, it's that stereo and conversion has evolved as a primary choice of filmmakers. It's they're two very different ways of creating stereo. Shooting natively has its own inherent problems and issues that it's dealing with as well on set, into the heavy post-process that a native film has to go to. But I think the overriding thing is that in terms of a fully native, big-budget feature film, I can't think of any. I don't think there's a single one that hasn't either utilised full stereo CG or conversion techniques as well. Yeah. And the conversion process has evolved and moved on so much that just 3 years down the line from what we were doing 3 years ago, we're seeing stuff like that, and filmmakers are really understanding it as well. So,
but there's still, I think, a barrier. I don't know if anybody in the audience, when they know it's converted, does it put you off at all? Does anybody put their hand up if it puts you off, if you know it's converted? It's not as many as I thought.
It's not
too many. Good.
Just a few.
I have a problem with the term native, by the way.
Yeah, I know it's a term that I think is.
Well, there's nothing native about it.
No.
If you've ever seen an over-under, everybody know what an over-under of cameras? No? Okay, over-under rig. If you want to shoot something up to about 25 feet, we have to get our eyes pretty close together and the lenses pretty close together, and you can't do that typically. So what you have is one camera shooting straight ahead right through a polarized mirror, and another one shooting straight down at the reflection of the polarized mirror. That's not native. That's not the way we see things. And not only that, but the mirror is not of the same quality as the lenses. It's a dust magnet. There's all sorts of problems with it. And each eye has different problems. They're not the same when you shoot with an over-under rig. But when we convert, if we take one frame, we convert and make two eyes, every corresponding pixel in those two eyes are precisely the same. And if we have a clean plate, good clean plates, we have more information than you would have if you were shooting native. So in many respects, conversion can be, and I'm holding back, is superior to shooting with an over-under.
So now you have a slightly different
I think we've run out of time now.
Yeah, it's amazing that, isn't it? Yeah. No, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, my first ever 3D project was a conversion project, and that was back in 2005, and that was the tests on King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong. And what conversion could achieve then to what it can achieve now on the screen proves that the technology has moved greatly forward. It is a very subjective process. Now, there are aids to help that, on-set data, reference material, but effectively it is an artist sitting there making decisions on how that volume and that space is created. It is a creative process, and we're at a creative summit, and this is what we're talking about. But also, we have to be very aware that it is a very synthesized environment. It gives you a lot more flexibility, and from a creative point of view, it is a very powerful tool. And if you're dealing with the shows that Matt was talking about, the larger, big-budget shows, using conversion makes a lot of sense because a lot of those shows are very synthesized anyway because of the high level of visual effects. But if you have a pure drama show where the intimacy of characters in tight environments where the subtleties of the detail, which can be achieved with conversion, but A, takes time, time costs money, and these budgets aren't as big as a $200 million Hollywood blockbuster. You may be talking about a $3 or $4 million movie. There is a place for conversion, absolutely, and it's a very important tool. And moving forward, it's very much part of the 3D world, but it isn't totally the answer. And I agree and disagree with some of those points in that way. And I think it's very important that we see conversion as a tool, as part of a tool set, very valuable.
I think we would all...
I agree with you that a $4 million movie should be shot, for sure. But we have to, the bottom line is they're both illusions. Whether you shoot or whether you convert, they're both illusions. And one is not fake and one is not real. I mean, they're both the same.
A lot of filmmakers come to us and say, oh, okay, are you going to convert my movie? I want it to look real. I want it to look like I shot it natively. So we do that, and we can do that. And the first thing they do is, well, the first thing we do is then change it to make it look nice and look easy on the eye as well, and then give them the control. And all of a sudden their movie isn't I want it to look real as if I'd shot it. It's gone way beyond that. And that was the point I kind of made at the start as well about not judging by what you've seen. What conversion can do is way beyond what you can achieve with shooting with two cameras. I mean, with shooting natively, you know, you're fighting against the limitations of the mechanics of the process on set all of the time. And we've come up with fantastic ways of dealing with that, of overcoming that, but you're still fighting to overcome that on set as well. And being on set, even when you're shooting mono, there's enough complications and problems anyway. And we say to the filmmakers that we work with, they come to us and say, well, what do I need to watch? What can't I do? There's nothing you can't do. Be aware of composition and style, and as you would do when making, whether it's just going to be a mono film. But there's nothing we can convert. So go ahead and make your movie, and then we'll work together in that kind of 16, 20-week process afterwards.
But you have to be very careful of that, because if you're converting, most conversion movies are afterthoughts. So the films have been shot.
Yeah.
Films have been shot.
Some of them, but not all of them.
Not all of them. No, agreed. But a lot of films are. We're working on one at the moment. That is the case, and it's the way a movie is shot. And if I agree and disagree, but if you're shooting with 3D, then you're more aware of how you incorporate that within the process. And every department is affected. Yes, it has its advantages and disadvantages in that process, but it makes a filmmaker more aware of the 3D. I've worked on a couple of films, I'm sure you have as well, where they will shoot in a 2D style, they'll cut in a 2D way. Is the end result from and we're talking here on a creative 3D side, is it the best result? No, it isn't, although the conversion process can give a very good polished result.
I think we're working with a lot of the film. I know, I understand what you mean, but as it's, again, coming back to this, this is all about how it's evolved as well. And the studios and filmmakers have evolved their process as well. So whereas 2 years ago, it's okay, right, we've shot our film, let's make it 3D. Now, we're working with the filmmakers pre-production. We're doing stereo previews. We get involved through the set, our stereographers on set. So it's there in the mind all the time. And then what we get at the end of it is, Frankenweenie was an example of that. It's a beautifully crafted 3D movie because that's what it was always intended.
I just want to, Barry, ask you about the commercial model with conversion. Obviously, you just had Top Gun come out.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that.
Is that a real market? And what's your concerns about things like iRobot? What was done, was it like $30,000 a minute that was converted? The quality wasn't amazing, but is there still a market for that certain tiered conversion level of back releases?
I think for 3D to become truly ubiquitous, we have to get into catalog titles. And Top Gun, I think, is a perfect example. There's a movie. You've got Star Wars, you've got Titanic, you've got Top Gun. Top Gun has a broader demographic than the other two. It had a limited release, but it's going to be going into Blu-ray, and it did so well in limited release. It's being shown internationally now in various territories. But there you've got both men and women who just love that movie, and I think it's going to do phenomenally well. But again, I think that catalog titles are a very important part of this whole thing. I think that one thing that is going to hurt the industry is in particular regarding catalog titles is when the studios start using real-time or automatic conversion. Automatic conversion is an insult to the audience. That's your line. That's your line.
That's one.
We all agree on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've literally got about 1 minute.
So just coming back to the library tiles as well, and there is, we've just completed the conversion on Bertolucci's The Last Emperor. And again, this is a huge film with bigness. Perhaps not the film you'd think would be good for going through a 3D conversion, but we've worked with Bernardo throughout the process as well, came in at the end, and his feeling is of what we'd sort of done with his movie. He was very proud of it, thought it looked absolutely fantastic, magical and brutal, and brought something back to life, which was made 25 years ago. But again, it was shot in a way that actually is really enhanced and, compositionally more crafted and more beautiful. So it does work in 3D. So.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry we haven't. We'll come back with just squeeze one question. There's an arm over there I can just see coming out of the darkness.
Just a quick question on the commercial side. 2 questions. Number one, in terms of budget, the comparison between shooting 3D in native and doing the conversion process. And the second question: when will all films be shot native 3D?
When will they be shot native 3D?
Converted. Do you mean when will they all be converted?
No. When will the technology be such you can actually shoot in 3D just as they shoot in 2D?
Never.
Never. No.
And the difference in budget between shooting native 3D and doing conversion?
Conversion's cheaper.
But presumably,
Depending on the
if you
size,
ask,
no, it is not. If you're doing a $3 million movie, you couldn't convert it.
Well, you
can shoot it in 3D, and we've done that.
You could, but it'd be a different quality.
Yeah, and I think also what's really important, it's about quality down the line. That the audiences are seeing more 3D. They're becoming more they're becoming more sensitive to the quality, and it's the same for native and for conversion. It's about quality product, and there's good and bad conversion and good and bad native out there. And the most important thing is to ensure that there is the quality that moving down.
Just in terms of quality, let's not use quality with depth as well. We can produce much cheaper and more cost-effective 3D movies, it's not reducing the quality, it's actually just reducing the depth.
Yeah.
But then it becomes, what do you want from your 3D
Exactly,
movie?
but then the point comes, if you're reducing the depth, why do it in 3D in the first place?
Well, let's leave it there on that question. You can come and ask a question afterwards, but we really have to go. I'm getting the nod and getting the signals. So we can't show Star Wars, unfortunately. But I know, really sorry.